off, stage left, and then stroll back on. Okay?
So do that now, or?
Well, I'm not sure where we're going to start, but
Well, I started in music, and then the more I got involved, the more I gravitated toward theater. And I love theater. This is my 42nd year teaching here, and so I have directed for 47 years, or second years. And every show is different. I like that. Every cast is different. I was teasing someone about my retirement, and I told them that I'm so fortunate because the shows that I had on my bucket list that I wanted to direct before I retired, I've done them. And I've done some of them that I love more than once. And the unique thing about my job is that even though I've directed a show before, that when you have a new cast, you have a new show. You have different people in those roles, and so the show becomes very different. And your vision for the show becomes very different. This cast has been remarkable. Not only are they talented, but they have such a marvelous work ethic, and they have such respect for not only me, but for the show, and they love the show as much as I do. And I think that's going to be reflected in their performance. Tim has been a wonderful gift to our department. He started 4 years ago as Jesus in Godspell. And every role that I have directed him in, he just has a work ethic that will not give up until he nails the character. And I have tremendous respect for that young man. So he is a wonderful leader, but he is also a consummate artist. And he had auditions for grad school that we sent him to, and he had 14 callbacks, which means that other people are recognizing the quality that we've had, and we will miss him sorely.
I fell in love with theater when I was very young. My brothers did a lot of church drama. I primarily helped out with like worship team stuff. My dad is a pastor of a church, and so, you know, PK is getting involved a lot. But I always loved to watch them perform, and so when I hit high school was when my small private school really allowed you to get involved in drama. And so I got involved in every play I could, and I just loved it. And then it came time to, you know, decide what you were going to do with the rest of your life, and, you know, what you're going to do in college. Because my parents were very much like, we don't care what degree you get, we just want you to get an undergraduate degree, at the very least, to show that you are a hard worker for any job that you go into. So I decided, why not musical theater? I'm graduating with just theater arts with no minor, actually, but I've taken a lot of dance and music classes. But I love the ability to tell stories and provoke change, which is really the purpose of art. This is my 11th main stage production here at ORU, and it is very, very bittersweet. I'm very excited to start to audition for professional productions as well as different companies.
Claire was a major for a year, and then she changed her major and went into missions because that was her heart, and that was what she felt like God was leading her to do. So she's been involved with her freshman year, and now she's back, and she is, after she has finished her degree in missions, she's getting her BFA in acting. And so we have her for a few more years, and I'm really excited about that.
I really enjoyed singing, and I always enjoyed like acting, and we would make stupid little films when we were kids with my brothers and I. But when I first did theater, I was in 6th grade, and one of my friends had been doing community theater that you like pay for to put your kids in, and I'm like, I don't want to pay for camp. And we were doing a musical at my middle school, and she said to me, she's like, let's go audition for Seussical. And I was like, yeah, let's go audition. So we went and we auditioned, and I made it and she didn't. But like, she was really upset. But I started doing theater after that. They were all like, keep doing musicals, and I auditioned for the next one and didn't make it in. And then like when I got into high school, I started doing it more consistently and acting in musicals as often as I could.
The show is a fictional explanation of a real event that happened. And it takes place in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It begins in 1945, right after World War II. We follow two sets of romances, and both of them have a very bumpy road.
So Jimmy Ray is the son of the mayor of Zebulon. He's not just the mayor, but he's also the biggest businessman in the town. He owns the bank as well as several other small businesses. So he's kind of like holds a monopoly over like the area. So it's a pretty big name for the Dobbs family. It's a big name.
I play Alice Murphy. She is one of the characters that the story is centered around, going back in between her life in her 16s and her life in her 40s. So Alice is she's very refined. She reads lots of literature. She loves to write, and something about her, she loves speaking in like a melodic and beautiful way.
So primarily my role as Jimmy revolves around the relationship that I have with Alice Murphy, who is what you would call the star vehicle or the leading lady of the show. So it primarily revolves around the romance and the relationship we have both in 1923 as well as 1945.
This is not a typical musical, so what makes it unique is that the ensemble, which is usually typically the chorus, it usually is the background, and in this show the ensemble is another character. And what they do is different for each scene. It reminds me of, it's very theatrical, I keep saying that. It means that the ensemble does different things at different times. There's a moment in the play when our lead is 16 years old and she's talking back to her parents, and the ensemble and the song deals with them reinforcing her attitude toward her parents. And another time the ensemble becomes the parents' attitude, and another time the ensemble are characters within the scene. So the people that are ensemble are on stage and singing all the time, all the way through the show.
So there are two specific types, well not two, there's lots of types of theater. Primarily what some people would expect would be realism, which is kind of what you would see in a TV show or a movie where life is reflected just as it usually is in everyday life. When it comes to live theater, usually you branch out with different styles to convey it. So the type of theater that we're doing for Bright Star is called Brechtian. It holds a lot of theatricalism and some symbolism in a way, not so much symbolism as it is you're filling in the blanks. And so we have a house that is very bare, just like 4 columns and like a roof. And the house will tell you where you are at. So you will literally watch the house move across the stage, and that represents, it's very representational, is a good way to put it, Brechtian theater. So that way, instead of realism, it allows you to engage your imagination more.
There's different types of theater. There's like realism, naturalism, and then there's kind of that avant-garde Brechtian theater. Brechtian is not so focused on the realism, but it's more presentational. And Bright Star is definitely a more presentational show. If you're watching a theater production, understand that this is going to be not in order, and it's going to be really exciting, and there's going to be things that don't necessarily seem like they fit in the modern or the world of the 40s or the 20s, because it's presentational. It's to tell a story, and that's the main job.
If you watch a typical musical, then you have a storyline and then you have a chorus. And the chorus a lot of times are characters that are specific, that are woven into the story. In this show, we are following characters through a storyline, but we're doing more than that. Steve Martin and Edie Brickell's music it's marvelous. It's banjo music, it's bluegrass music, but it's not a typical bluegrass sound. It is bluegrass music that they have fit into a musical style.
For the actual music side of it, it has a little bit of a bluegrass feel. Steve Martin was and Edith Brickell were both really big proponents of the style of the music revolving around the placement of where it was at. So it has that bluegrass country feel to it, you could say.
You think that the song is going to go a certain way, and because of Steve Martin's brilliance, it goes a different way, and the songs are always surprising. And I think Edie Brickell, she did most of the lyrics, and it has a waif-like quality to it. The one character that starts the show is a young man that has just come back from World War II, and one of the first songs talks about when he was in the trenches, he made a vow to himself that he was going to make the most of his life. And he was going to do that for his mother, he was going to do that for himself. And that kind of theme never gets old.
Yeah, naturally I kind of have a country twang to my voice. I hate that people say that about me, but they do. And so it's really worked towards my advantage for this show because it's all bluegrass. And so to have that kind of, that twang and that color to your voice helped me in singing some of these songs.
When it comes to the accent, it's very much a struggle still for me. Accents are a bit more tricky for certain actors, and for some actors they're not. You will see the leading lady, Claire Holt, is absolutely incredible.
This like hickish and rednecky kind of feel, it doesn't exist in the show because it's just an accent. It's just a dialect. It's just where I'm from. It's not the way that I act. I mean, I run around on stage barefoot, but it's like I'm not playing a hick. I'm playing a girl who's from North Carolina and lived there her entire life and loves the South. There's a lot of things that go into this show, especially since there's a dialect. So it's not just learning your lines, it's learning how to say words. So, and like learning how to like take the most extreme dialect you can and like learning that, and then it'll eventually turn into something that's natural and easy and something that people can understand.
And the thing I love more than anything else about this show is that it does take place in the hills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it fights the stereotype of hillbillies. All the way through, they talk about them being readers and loving the words. And our characters work in a magazine, they're writers, and they work in a magazine in Asheville. And so it's contrary to all the stereotypes that you would see about hillbillies. It respects that culture rather than making fun of that culture. I told my cast when we first started the show, I do not want any resemblance of hee-haw in this. It is not Hicksville, you know. It is people that love the mountains, love nature, and love the banjo, and love clogging, and love dancing, and love life.
This show, Bright Star, is the perfect example of how one person's story can just really open your eyes to how there's hope and life.
Bright Star is a show that encompasses the truth of the reality of our decisions, but also like the redemption that comes even after we mess up. And it's about love and family and just beauty and finding the beauty in every moment in life, whether things are going well for you or if they're not.
I think I say in the program that this is a story about people, young and old, making very bad decisions and facing the consequences of those decisions. But it's also a story about how a miracle can change their life and change their direction of their life.